The Supreme Personality Godhead cannot be known even by greater personalities than the human being. And how a human being can understand Sri Krishna without becoming his devotee. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in the spirit of devotee of Lord Sri Krishna. One should not think that he is equal on the same level of Sri Krishna, or one should not think that he is an ordinary personality, maybe a very great personality. No. Lord Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, at least theoretically, on the statement of Bhagavad Gita, or on the statement, assertion of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should accept Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then with that submissive spirit, unless one receives this Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit and oral reception, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita, because it is a great mystery. So, in this Bhagavad Gita, we may survey what is this Bhagavad Gita. This Bhagavad Gita is meant for delivering persons from the nescience of this material existence. Every man is in difficulty in so many ways, and as Arjuna also was in difficulty in the matter of fighting the battle of Kurukshetra, and as such he surrendered unto Sri Krishna, and therefore this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Similarly, not only Arjuna, but every one of us is always full of anxieties due to this material existence. Asadgraha. It is our existence is in the environment or atmosphere of non-existence. But actually, we are not non-existent. Our existence is eternal. But somewhere or other, we are put into this asat. Asat means which does not exist. Now, out of so many human beings who are actually inquiring about his position as to what he is, why he is put into this awkward position of suffering. Unless one is awakened to this position, that why I am suffering, I do not want all these sufferings. I have tried to make a solution of all these sufferings, but I have failed. Unless one is in that position, he is not to be considered a perfect human being. Humanity begins when this sort of inquiries are awakened in one's mind, in the Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called Brahma Jignasa, Athatu Brahma Jignasa. And every activity of a human being is to be considered a failure without having this inquiry in his mind. So, persons who have awakened this inquiry into his mind as to what I am, why I am suffering, where from I have come, or where I shall go after death. When these inquiries come or awaken in the mind of a sane human being, then he is practically the right student for understanding Bhagavad Gita. And he must be Saddhavan. Saddhavan. He must have a respect, a firm respect in the Supreme Personality of God. Such a person, as the ideal person was Arjuna. So Lord Krishna, he descends Jada Jada Hi Dharmasya Glani Bhavuti, just to establish the real purpose of life. When man forgets the real purpose of life, the mission of human form of life, then it is called Dharmasya Glani, the disturbance of the occupation of human being. So, in that circumstances, out of many human beings who awakens, one who awakens the spirit of understanding his position, for him this Bhagavad Gita is spoken. We are just like swallowed by the tigress of nescience, and Lord being causelessly merciful upon the living entities, especially for the human being, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, making his friend Arjuna as the student. Arjuna was certainly being an associate of Lord Krishna. He was above all ignorance, but still Arjuna was put into ignorance in the battlefield of Kurukshetra just to question about the problems of life to the Supreme Lord, so that the Lord can explain them for the benefit of future generation of human beings, to chalk out the plan of his life and act in that way, so that his life, his mission of human life can be perfect. So in this Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter is comprehending 5 different truths. The first truth is what is God? It is the preliminary study of the science of God. So, that science of God is explained here. Next, the constitutional position of the living entities, Jiva. Ishara and Jiva. The Lord, the Supreme Lord, is called Ishara. Ishara means controller. And Jiva, the living entities, and the Jivas, the living entities, they are not Ishara or the controller. They are controlled. Artificially, if I say that I am not controlled, I am free, this is not the sign of a sane man. A living being is controlled in every respect. At least in his conditioned life, he is controlled. So, in this Bhagavad Gita, the subject matter comprehends about the Ishara, the supreme controller, and about the controlled living entities, and Prakriti, the nature, the material nature, and next, the time, duration of existence of the whole universe, or this manifestation of the material nature, and the duration of time, or the eternal time, and karma. Karma means activity. Everything, the whole universe, whole manifestation, cosmic manifestation, is full of different activities. The living being, especially, they are all engaged in different activities. So we have to study from the Bhagavad Gita, Ishara, what is God, Jiva, what are these living entities, and Prakriti, what is this cosmic manifestation, and how it is controlled by time, and what are these activities. Now, out of these 5 subject matter, in the Bhagavad Gita, it is established that the Supreme Godhead, or Krishna, or Brahma, or Paramatma, you may call whatever you like, but the Supreme Controller, there is a Supreme Controller. So, the Supreme Controller is the greatest of all. And the living beings, they are in quality like the Supreme Controller. Just like the Supreme Controller, the Lord, He has control over the universal affairs, over the material nature, how it will be explained in the later chapters of Bhagavad Gita, that this material nature is not independent. She is acting under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. This material nature is working under my direction, Maya dhakshena, under my superintendence. So we are mistaken when we see wonderful things happening in the cosmic nature. We should know that behind these wonderful manifestations there is a controller. Nothing can be manifested without being controlled. It is childish to not to consider about the controller. Just like a very nice motor car with very good speed and very good engineering arrangement is running on this street. A child may think that how this motor car is running without the help of any horse or any pulling agent. But a sane man or an elderly person, he knows that in spite of all engineering arrangements in the motor car, without the driver it cannot move. That engineering arrangement of a motor car or an electric powerhouse, now at the present moment it is the day of machinery. But we should always know that behind the machinery, behind the wonderful working of the machinery, there is a driver. So the Supreme Lord is the driver, Adhaksha. He is the Supreme Personality under whose direction everything is working. Now, these jiva, or the living entities, they have been accepted by the Lord in this Bhagavad Gita, as we will know it in later chapters, that they are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. Mamaivaංsa jiva bhuta. Ansa means parts and parcels. Now, as the particle of gold is also particle, a drop of water of the ocean is also salty. Similarly, we, the living entities, being part and parcels of the Supreme Controller, Ishvara, Bhagavan, or Lord Sri Krishna, we have got, qualitatively, all the qualities of the Supreme Lord in mind. Because we are minute Ishvara, subordinate Ishvara, we are also trying to control. We are just trying to control over the nature. In the present days, you are trying to control over the space. We are trying to float imitation planets. So this tendency of controlling or creating is there because partially we have got that controlling tendency. But we should know that this tendency is not sufficient. We have the tendency of controlling over the material nature, lording it over the material nature. But we are not the supreme controller. That thing is explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Then, what is this material nature? The nature is also explained. The nature, material nature, is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as inferior Prakriti. Inferior Prakriti and the living entities are explained as the superior Prakriti. Prakriti means which is controlled, which is under Prakriti. Real meaning of Prakriti is a woman or a female. Just like a husband controls the activities of his wife. Similarly, the Prakriti is also a subordinate, predominated. The Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the predominator, and this Prakriti, both the living entities and the material nature, they are different Prakritis, or predominated, controlled by the Supreme. So, according to Bhagavad Gita, the living entities, although they are parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, they are taken as Prakriti. This is clearly mentioned in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, aparayam, itastu vidhi apara. This material nature is aparayam, itastu, and beyond this there is another Prakriti. And what is that Prakriti? Jiva bhuta. So, this Prakriti, the constitution of this Prakriti is constituted by 3 qualities. The mode of goodness, the mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. And above these modes, 3 different kinds of modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance, there is eternal time. There is eternal time. And by combination of these modes of nature and under the control, under the purview of this eternal time, there are activities. There are activities which is called karma. These activities are being done from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. Just like in the present life also, we enjoy the activities, the fruits of our activities. Suppose I am a businessman and I have worked very hard with intelligence, and I have amassed a vast amount of bank balance. Now I am the enjoyer. Similarly, suppose I started my business with a vast amount of money, I failed to make it successful, I lost all the money, so I am sufferer. So similarly, in every field of our life, we enjoy the result of our work. This is called karma. So these things, Ishara, Jiva, Prakriti, are the Supreme Lord, are the living entity, the material nature, the eternal time, and our different activities. These things are explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, out of these 5, the Lord, the living entities, and the material nature and time, these 4 items are eternal. Now, manifestation of Prakriti may be temporary, but it is not false. Some philosophers say that this manifestation of material nature is false. But according to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, or according to the philosophy of the Vaishnavas, they do not accept the manifestation of the world as false. They accept that the manifestation is real, but it is temporary. It is just like a cloud takes place in the sky and the rainy season begins, and after the rainy season there are so many new green vegetation all over the field we can see. And as soon as the rainy season is finished, and then the cloud is vanquished, generally, gradually, all this vegetation dry up, and again the land becomes barren. Similarly, this material manifestation takes place at a certain interval. We will understand it, we will know it from the pages of the Bhagavad Gita. Bhutta bhutta praliyate. These manifestations becomes magnificent at a certain interval, and again it disappears. That is the work of the Prakriti. But it is working eternally. That Prakriti is eternal. It is not false. Because the Lord has accepted mama Prakriti, my Prakriti. Aparayam itastu vidhi me Prakriti param. Bhinna Prakriti. Bhinna Prakriti, apara Prakriti. This material nature is a separated energy of the Supreme Lord, and the living entities, they are also energy of the Supreme Lord, but they are not separated. They are eternally related. So the Lord, the living entity, the nature, material nature and time, they are all eternal. But the other item, karma, is not eternal. The effects of karma or activity may be very old. We are suffering or enjoying the results of our activities from a time immemorial, but still we can change the result of our karma or activity. That will depend on our perfect knowledge. We are engaged in various activities, undoubtedly, but we do not know what sort of activities we shall adopt that will give us relief from the actions and reactions of all activities. That is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, the position of Ishvara is a supreme consciousness. Position of Ishvara, the Supreme Lord, is supreme consciousness. And the jivas or the living entities, being parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, he is also conscious. A living entity is also conscious. The living entity is explained as Prakriti, energy, and the material nature is also explained as Prakriti, but amongst the two, one Prakriti, the jivas, they are conscious, the other Prakriti is not conscious. That is the difference. Therefore, the jiva Prakriti is called superior because the jiva has consciousness similar to the Lord. The Lord is supreme consciousness. One should not claim that a jiva, a living entity, is also supremely conscious. No. A living being cannot be supremely conscious at any stage of his perfection. This is a misleading theory. No, this is misleading theory. But he is conscious, that's all. But he is not supreme conscious. The supreme conscious, it will be explained in the Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter where the distinction between the jiva and Ishvara is explained. Khetra, khetragya. This khetragya has been explained that the Lord is also khetragya or conscious, and the jivas or the living beings, they are also conscious. But the difference is that a living being is conscious within his limited body, but the Lord is conscious of all bodies. Ishara sarvabhutanam riddesha arjuna tishtati. The Lord lives within the core of heart in every living being. Therefore, he is conscious of the psychic movements, activities of the Lord, of the particular jiva. We should not forget, it is also explained that the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is living in everyone's heart as Ishvara, as the controller. And he is giving direction. He is giving direction. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishya. Everyone's heart he is situated, and he gives direction to act as he desires. The living entity forgets what to do. First of all, he makes his determination to act in a certain way, and then he is entangled in the actions and reactions of his own karma. But after giving up one type of body, when he enters another type of body, just like we give up one kind of dress, one type of dress for another type of dress. Similarly, it is explained in this Bhagavad Gita that Vasangsi jinnani jatha vihaya. As one changes his different dresses, similarly, the living entities, they are also changing different bodies, transmigration of the soul, and pulling on the actions and reactions of his past activities. So, these activities can be changed when a living being is in the mode of goodness, in sanity, and he understands what sort of activities he should adopt. And if he does so, then the whole action and reactions of his past activities can be changed. Therefore, karma is not eternal. Other things, out of the 5 items, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma, these 4 items are eternal, whereas the karma, the item known as karma, that is not eternal. Now, the conscious Ishvara, the supreme conscious Ishvara, and the difference between supreme conscious Ishvara, the Lord, and the living being is, in the present circumstances, is like this. Consciousness of both of the Lord and the living entities, they are, this consciousness is transcendent. It is not that this